Hello and welcome to the Magical Mixture Mill. In this short video I'll be going over tips and tricks that I felt could have helped me early on as I was progressing through this game, and I hope that you will find these tips useful as well. Let's get right into it. So for my first tip I would like to tell you about the Crusher and the Kiln. These two workstations are actually very important early on and are probably very easily overlooked for their importance. If you go up to the notes, it will actually tell you that you need to use sandstone to get in the crusher to get sand, and you put the sand in the furnace along with wood in the kiln to get charcoal, and you put both of those two things into the furnace to get glass, and then you put that glass into a bottle maker, and that gives you a bottle so that you can make the potions. So you can be self-sufficient in basically producing your own bottles. However, there is a little bit more to the kiln and the crusher that isn't explained, mainly that the crusher can be used to crush other things than sandstone. Like, for instance, you can crush bugs into making mush. Once you make this mush, you can then put it in the kiln to make nutrient bars. Along the way, through the quest lines, you will be asked to provide nutrient bars, and I had no idea how we actually got these things. So I had to experiment back and forth, so now you know this is how you get nutrient bars, by simply putting insects, and by insects I mean the beetles or the centipedes, into the crusher to get mush. You cannot use any of the beetles that you find in the wild that can be used for components. It has to be the beetles and the centipedes to make mush, and then you put mush in the kiln to make nutrient bar. Another thing that the crusher is really good for is as you're mining to get metals, you will sometimes come across these geodes. If you put these geodes into the crusher, it will make you gems, which you can sell or even use. Some recipes require gems, not potion recipes, but if you're upgrading your tools, you will need 1 or 2 gems in order to upgrade it. And I hope this was the first tip, and I hope you found this helpful. The next tip I want to go over is regarding this little fellow here, the Scarecrow. You will very early on encounter the Scarecrow, and you'll be given a quest to talk to said Scarecrow. However, it's not explained how you actually talk to this person, because whenever you try and interact with it, it tells you you cannot interact with this object right now. Well, how you solve that is you drink a potion, because your main character, as you're being told in the intro, cannot withstand drinking any more potions, so he gets very sick. When he gets sick, he starts to hallucinate, and then you can talk to the Scarecrow while under the hallucination effect, but only while you're actually hallucinating. Later on, you'll also be asked to talk to crows. This is done in the same fashion, but it's never actually explained in the game, and so I hope this can clarify a little bit for you about this is how you solve the Scarecrow quest. For the next tip, I want to go over ingredients that I had very much difficult finding, and I even had to look up online, and even then the answers were quite vague on how to find them. See, one of the things that you will be asked along the quest line is you will need truffles. Truffles is an edible thing. It is these things that's found here. Well, it's not until you find it, you're actually not told what to do with it, but it says here that it's found under old park tree trunks in the old woods and in the bubbling bog. Well, you might ask yourself, how do I get under tree trunks? Well, old pine trees are these trees that have these energy berries growing from them. So what you want to do is you want to chop it so that you cut it down, and then there's a stump left. Well, if you switch over to your pick, you can actually mine that pick, and there you go, you get truffles. This was very difficult for me to find how to actually get truffles, and so I hope this little tip, or at least will help you not running around for hours looking for truffles and not understanding where to get them. This is how you get them. For the next tip, I'd like to go over these arcane contraptions that you see in front of you. A bit later in the game, you will be able to unlock this, which is the Arcane Coil. The Arcane Coil is basically a generator. Provides power, however, it needs a mixture in order to work. Well, how do you provide said mixture? Well, you can get growers as well. These growers grow any tier 1 ingredient. So any of the tier 1 ingredients that you see here, like Proud Caps, Death Blooms, the what are these called? The godweed, the go berries, and the mana mage root. So all of these are the tier 1 ingredients. It's also the ones that you can find in the very tippy top, and they're actually very easily found out in nature as well. But they can grow in these growers. And those are the only ones that can grow in these growers. But what you then do is you basically build 6 growers, and you stick any tier 1 ingredient in here. It doesn't have to be proud crabs. I just use proud caps. Put them in the in a extractor that then feeds into the arcane coil. You can see the green mark. That is the area that it powers. If you put a higher tier ingredient into it, the area will expand, but you have no way of getting a constant supply of that, bar importing it every single day. If you can totally do that, and it is absolutely viable, but this is self-sufficient, and once you have it set up, it just goes on its own, and it'll give you a full supply of every tier 1 ingredient that you want. Why is this important? Well, you see, it doesn't really matter which one of these potions that you want to brew. You can brew any potion with tier 1 ingredients. The higher tier ingredients only raises the potency, which means they will sell for more. But if you have quests that you need to do, where you just have to, let's say, we have some of the end game quests here, like the Champion of Light here. I need 200 Lift Cursed potions or 200 True Sight potions to give to the Paladin. Well, I don't need to give him the very best potions that I can brew. I just need to give him 200 offset potions in order to complete the quest. And a lot of the quests are this way. There's very few quests. There's only part of some of the main quests that you've also probably seen if you've watched my video series, where you're asked to brew a specific potion of a specific tier and a specific rarity, and then hand it in. There's only like a handful of quests that has that. All other quests are just brew X amount of this potion, and this can all be done with simply tier 1 ingredients, which are very easily to come by, and if you use this setup here, you'll have an endless supply of them. You won't even have to go outside and get them. As for the next tip, I'd like to go over this contraption that you see here. This is my bottle making process. Some of these things you will not be able to get hold of right away. Mainly these ones, the transmuters. These are absolutely endgame. You cannot get them until you have completed the main story. But this is basically just the endgame setup that I wanted to show you, how this worked. So people are aware of how it can look. Essentially, you have these, which are summoner crates. You get these reasonably early on. You unlock them at the same time you unlock the Arcano Coil, and you can have them fairly early on. These are amazing because they will pull from any chests anywhere in your storage area. They will pull from, or you can tell them to literally pull from the import storage, which is up here by the cargo elevator. Every single day you can ask to have goods imported, and it actually is beneficial. But there you see again, you have a bunch of the tier 1 ingredients, which you make yourself for free because of the previous setup that I just told you. But what you could import are stuff like silver ore, or copper ore, or sandstone. These are all very good materials used in the making of fancier bottles. Like the sandstone is literally used to make bottles, and the copper and the silver and the iron are used respectively to make fancier and fancier bottles. The fancier bottle you make, the more they will sell for, and the more profit you can get, so you can progress further on in the game. If anybody's interested in how this works, the transmuter, I wasn't aware of it myself, but later on when you do complete the main story, you have to do something for the Alchemical Society, and that will then unlock this into this contraption. And what it does is you can put silver ore into that, and it'll make gold ore, and that will allow you to essentially make the fanciest bottles that you can make in the game, which are these ones. Now, as for my next tip, I would like to show you these. These are my main 5 production lines. These 5 production lines can brew any potion to perfection. And the main reason I have 5 is because some of them requires fermenter, some of them requires fermenter and flavorizer, some of them only requires flavorizer, and some of them literally requires nothing to brew the perfect potion. There is 2 little twists to this, and that is this setup here, which has a fermenter only on one of the extractors. So it goes from an extractor into a fermenter and then into the distiller, where that has the 2 other ingredients feeding into it, and then into the flavorizer, and finally into the bottler, which then makes that potion. And for those 2 potions, that would be the True Sight and the Levitation potion are required for this setup, if you want to brew a perfect setup of that. The main reason I have the whole arcane coil here, you do not need it at all. This is just for my own convenience sake. I have an arcane coil here that has 3 summoner crates on them. That's literally all it has. And these summoner crates just have the yeast in it. And so I just have crates with yeast over here that I fill, and then I will always have yeast going in those crates, so I didn't need to worry about refilling those. You absolutely do not need this. This is just overkill on my sake. But yeah, I found these the description for these for making these in a guide, and I will link that guide down below. So the credit is not for just me, but if you would like to copy the setup, then by all means go ahead and do so. So, as for we've talked about this a little bit earlier before as well, but as regards to the crusher, you can actually, if you have too many, because remember every single day in the post you get these free bottles. If you at some point feel that you do not need the free bottles anymore, you can just stick them in the crusher and it will make glass for you. And that if you, like I had over here, have a summoner crate, that will just literally pull glass from any chest that you have in storage. So when this finishes crushing this will make the glass, and it will pull to the glass and it will go into the bottler. And so this brings me to the conclusion of this tips and tricks guide for the magical mixture mill. If you have any questions or anything you'd like me to cover more deeply, feel free to put down in the comment section and I'll try and answer it as best I can. If you have any other tips you'd like to share, then also put it in the comment section. And I hope to see you all in the next video. I hope this video has been helpful. I hope you've all had a great day. I've been me, and you've been awesome, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to leave a like and a comment down below. And if you enjoyed this content, then be sure to subscribe for more just like it. Until next time, I've been Wazka, and you've been awesome, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.